You've felt it before, same as me, everybody in the room. Imagine it's late afternoon or early evening, and you haven't eaten since lunch. You finish whatever assignments it is that you have for the day, work or school or chores. You're caring for your family, you're caring for your home. It's all complete, but your stomach wants something else, okay? You finished your responsibilities late afternoon, and then your stomach starts to say, hey, are you paying attention to me up there? You know, I'm grumbling, I need a little bit of something. And at that moment, you hear that sweet, sweet voice of somebody calling out, dinner's ready. Yeah, don't you love, those are like two of my favorite words in the world. Like, dinner's ready, come and get it. Okay, so I love that phrase. It's a fantastic phrase. So what do you do? If I'm busy like folding up the laundry, I'm going to go find one more sock to match with another sock before I go upstairs. Is that what I'm going to do? I'm working on the computer and I'm typing. I got to finish like one more part of the spreadsheet. Dinner's ready. I'm already hungry, and I'm not going to keep working on my computer. Or do I read another chapter or finish another spreadsheet, do another 10 questions of my homework, or launch another video game? That one might be tempting, because even when you're hungry, you keep playing video games sometimes. For those that are into gaming, all right? But no, not if you're super hungry. When you're super, super hungry and the food is ready, and you hear somebody call out, whoever it was that prepared the meal, and they called, the food is ready, dinner's ready, come and sit down. What you do is you go running. You go running into the place where you're going to eat. You sit down and you start cramming food into your pie hole. Half of it's not even chewed up. Nom, 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 nom. You've seen this before, right? Sloppy, messy. This is how we respond. We might not feel that way right now if we've all enjoyed our Thanksgiving feasting over the last few days. But when you're hungry and it's time to eat, you're going to drop everything and you're going to go. Nothing's going to get in between me and my nom-noms. If I were to ask you what you are most thankful for, I would guess that no one in the room would be super surprised at the kinds of things that we would each list. If I said, hey, what are you most thankful for? And a bunch of us would say things like family and friends. We're thankful for our home and our food and our pets and our health and things like this. Very common responses, very common answers that we would share with each other. We just had this holiday to express our gratitude when we gather together with loved ones and speak words of prayer and express our thanks and so forth. But what if instead of me asking for the things that you are most thankful for, what if I asked you about the smallest things that you're thankful for? I mean, it's the kind of stuff that you don't think about as often. How many of you are thankful for your sense of smell? Man, there's some good smells in the world. I teach middle schoolers every day. There are also some bad smells in the world, but I'm still thankful. I'm still thankful for my sense of smell. How about, are you thankful for a silly joke? I am. Oh man, I'm thankful for silly jokes. How many of you are thankful for free Wi-Fi? Oh wait, I said small things. That's not a small thing. That doesn't, okay, we'll leave that one off the list. How many of you are thankful for hugs? Come on, are you? Yeah, I'm a hugger. I grew up in a family of huggers. I am thankful for hugs. Receiving a compliment. Boy, you guys look nice this morning. Receiving a, that's nice. Thank you for saying some nice compliment. Good hair days? Yeah, are you thankful for good hair? It's the little things in life, right? Or old photos. You ever come across an old photograph? You're like, look at this. I haven't thought about this memory in a long time. I'm really glad I have this photo from a long time ago because it reminds me of how horrible, ugly that couch was and why did we keep that for decades? But boy, do we have good memories. We're talking about this day in John 6 when this huge crowd of people had been listening to Jesus teach. And everybody's getting hangry. It's been a long day, and it's time for us to eat. The disciples wanted to send the crowd away. But Jesus asked them to do something else instead. He said, sit down. Have them sit down. And one of the disciples, Andrew, mentioned that there's some kid here who's got some bread and some fish. And if they weren't going to send everybody away to go and get their own food, then somehow they needed enough to feed 5,000 people, or maybe even more if that was just the guys. So How are we going to work this out? The next line in John 6:11 says this. Look at it with me. John 6:11, it says, Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who received it as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. Now, this is a pretty popular story. It's among Christian circles, it's a pretty famous story. You may have heard it before. You may have read it or studied it. You might have heard a sermon about it at some point here. And in fact, I'm not shocked by how popular it is, because it's pretty cool. I mean, huge crowd of people, tiny bit of food, but he feeds everyone. That's impressive, right? There's a reason why this is so popularly known among Christian circles. I think, though, that sometimes we can get a little distracted by how impressive the miracle is, so distracted by the miracle that we might not recognize two tiny little words. And I think they're important words. They're really easy to miss. In this text here, in verse 11, it says, he gave thanks. I mean, if you've read this before, and if you've heard a sermon on this before, or if you've heard somebody talking about this before, you're probably familiar with certain elements of the account, like the number of people, or where they get the food from, or how they ended up feeding everybody, and even what they did afterwards. But that tiny little phrase right there with those two little words, I don't remember having talked about very much over the years. He gave thanks. We just kind of like skip right past it. Well, okay, yeah, that's good. He gave thanks. But like, get to the part where everybody has fish sandwiches. Yes, pass the tartar sauce, Jesus. And we get excited, but maybe a little bit distracted. Even though everyone was hangry at this point. You know hangry? You know, yeah? Hungry, angry, put them together. That's me. No, wait, no. Hangry, okay? Even though they had been waiting longer for a meal than what we have, and, like people are going to start to riot, even though the pressure was on with such a small menu and just a couple dinner rolls and some fish, still, Jesus stopped what he was doing, and he prayed a thank you prayer to our Father. You and I, we do a lot of important things in our lives. Impressive things. I mean, if I were to look at your resumes or your to-do lists that you've checked off or marked off the stuff that you've done, wow, I mean, you guys do some pretty cool stuff. Things that have huge consequences, things that require our time and our energy and our attention. We're busy with our coming and going and our doing and our accomplishing. Our schedules are jam-packed. And amidst all of these victories, in the middle of the rush, in the height of the pressure, when people are counting on us and time is of the essence, take a moment and say thanks. I think we should be, and we will be thankful for the big things. But I also want to be thankful for the small things, like a couple of fish, a few loaves of bread. It was not an impressive menu, but it was enough, wasn't it? And it turned into so much more in the hands of Jesus. Give thanks. Have you ever found something scary in the fridge?